morning and welcome back to Hammond's Upholstering. The weather's not so great here today, but there you go, we've still got work to do. Let's have a walk through the workshop and see what we're on with this week. Still waiting for the customer to come and collect that church chair or engraved or carved chair, whatever you want to call it. It's got some seats waiting to be collected. Right, we're well on our way with the spindle back Urkel chairs. The cushions are off with the machinist, so they're all cut. The three-piece suite, again, the cushions are off and they're being cut. I need to make the cover for that. As you can see, the spindle back cushions are there. You can see where I've unpicked the tops for templating. This repair to this electric chair needs to be done. That's a seat replacement, and these are the cushions and the two chairs that go with the suite. So I need to crack on and get these ripped up and covered, obviously. Other than that, we're reusing the customer's cushions at their request. We would normally want to replace them, but they wanted to reuse them because they like the comfort of the sofa. That's not to say that if we were to replace the cushions they wouldn't be as comfortable. It's just that they want the sofa to be recovered and no more than that. So that's what I'm on with. So I need to get them ripped up, and who knows what else is going to come in this week. I've got some leather I need to order for a corner sofa that you'll be joining me with whilst we're recovering that. That should be relatively soon. And I've got some furniture I need to pick up first thing this morning. So I'm just going to go and collect that and then get back and continue ripping up these two chairs and see how we get on. Good morning and welcome back. It's the next day from the beginning of this video. We got very busy yesterday and I wanted to get this chair ripped up. It's part of the three-piece suite, so we've got the two chairs and the sofa. As you can hear, the kettle's going in the background, so more importantly it's time to put the kettle on and have a cup of tea. But I digress. So this suite is two chairs and a sofa. One chair's in this check fabric and the other chair is in a burnt copper velvet which matches the sofa. So my apologies, I haven't recorded getting this chair to this point, but I will run through with you putting the outsides, or what we call the outsides of the chair, myself. The reason why they're called the outside, when you're looking at the chair, this is the inside of the chair, everything you can see here, so the arms, the inside back and the seat, which is just outshot. The outsides are when you stood around the chair and you can see the outsides. I do have to explain it, so I'm not being rude. So anyway, I'll get on with the outsides on this particular chair. I'll just adjust the camera, get the outsides fabrics cut, which involves two outside arms and the outside back. I'm not entirely sure what I'm going to do with the outside back because the original outside back was finished not in a way that I was particularly happy with. So albeit it's how it was done originally, I don't think I'm going to do that because it just didn't work for me. So we're going to modify that and use some back tacker strips like we normally do. It gives us a better finish than what the chair had. The facings on the chair are here, left and right. These need covering. They didn't have a pipe in or anything around them, they were just covered as you see here. So I need to get them covered as well. We'll try to get them matching, or at least a mirror on the fabric image of them, so we'll do them as well. So I'll make myself a cup of tea and get the outside arms, outside back cut, and I'll get back to you then. Okay. Right, so here we have it ready for the outside arm. I'll just grab the fabric. Now, the fabric as it comes off the roll, in this particular case, it does have a top edge where the pattern repeats. So what we've got to bear in mind is when this arm comes over, this is the top edge, but as it's upside down, this is the top edge. So we need to sort of reverse the fabric, not back to front, but upside down, to make sure that all these lines here match up, because see, they're not uniform. They are right across the roll. If we don't match them up, then the customer could potentially look at that and go, well, this has got a blue line here and you've got a red line here on the outside arm. What's going on here? And trying to explain that to them, sometimes it's quite difficult to explain that it's because of the pattern. So we would do it the correct way, or is this the top edge, if we were putting skirts on it, because skirts would dictate that. But because there's no skirts on this, we're going to match the lines up in this case. Just to save those questions. It's which is wrong, which is right. It's one of those things. Generally, the customers would understand if I explain to them reasons why it matches in some places and other places it doesn't match, is because of the pattern. This particular fabric doesn't lend itself to being orientated in both directions and still match. This has got a top edge on it. So this is cardboard back tacking strip. You'll have seen me use this in other videos. It's just about 1/2 inch wide. It's vulcanized cardboard. We staple close to this top edge, or whichever edge, it doesn't really matter. And this gives us a nice crisp fold when we pull the fabric up, so we don't get a wavy line. So that's the point of this. We need to make sure that our outside arm, where we're stapling it now, is covering the staples that hold the inside arm on. There may be a couple of cottons from where the fabric's frayed poking through, but we can trim them off. But we want to make sure that all the staples are hidden. So that's that there. So this is just Lux Bond that's been put around the edge of the frame to protect it, to give it a nice soft edge, rather than this hard sawn edge of the wood breaking through the fabric. Albeit this is a good quality frame, the edges of the timber haven't been sanded off, so it's definitely necessary to put this on. Gives it a soft touch. So they've used Lux Bond here, or you can use some foam, whatever your preference is, but we've stuck with the Lux Bond because that's how it was done originally. So we start in the centre, pull that up, not too tight, gently pull that up, and just go along and trying to keep our lines straight. Now, because this arm tapers, or outside arm tapers, we're looking at the edge, not this edge. We're looking at the line here somewhere in the middle. So if we look at this edge and it drops off, then if we were to try and do that, we'd end up wonky. So we need to just try and keep the lines even, disregarding what's going on with this top edge. Again, the arm is curving the opposite way, so it's making it awkward to try and keep this line as straight as possible. Also, the fabric, depending on the quality of the weave, can have an effect on lines like that. Best will in the way you could try and straighten it out, but sometimes you just can't do it because of the weave in the fabric has variations in it. Again, trying to pull this line straight around here. Not creating too much distortion in it. Striped fabrics, check fabrics are the hardest, I would say, to work with, and other forms of that, because of the lines, your eyes drawn to the lines, so you try and do the best you can. So here you can see the colours, we've tried to match the lines up, and we've tried to keep this as straight as possible, bearing in mind that the arm has got a curve in it. Theoretically, there are ways around that by cutting the fabric to allow for that. But I think it's a bit over the top for this particular customer. So I'm not quite happy with this. So I'm just going to release a bit of the fabric here, which is where I've potentially pulled it a bit tight in the middle to try and soften this curve out a little bit. Okay, so I'll just do that and we'll come back to you. Right, so I've just released this part of the centre here to soften this curve off, so it follows a little bit more with the line of the arm. It looks better, I'm happy with that now. So that's the outside arm. Let's just trim off the excess fabric. So that's both outside arms on now. Now we've got to do the outside back. So, similar process with the outside back. I need to cut the fabric. The orientation of the fabric needs to go to match the stripes as it comes over the inside back, and I'm going to use the metal back tacking strip that you've seen me use before, rather than how it was done originally. It was just folded and stapled. You could see the staples. It was, albeit the furniture's going up against the wall, that's not how I want to do it. I don't want to see staples. So I'm going to finish the back off properly. So then it's just a case of putting the facings on. So let me get this on the floor because it's easier for me to do the outside back on the floor to show you that, and we'll be back then. Right, so outside back time. I've cut the fabric for the outside back. Again, we want the stripe to continue over the inside back and down. So albeit this is the top, because this is top on the inside back, this now becomes the top on the outside back in this particular case. So that's how we need to orientate the fabric. Very similar process to what we did on the outside arms. Just going to check the placement. The stripes. So that's there. A little bit. So I'll fold it over, put a couple of temporary or staples in just to make sure that we've got the alignment right. Try and keep it a nice equal distance from this top rail. This is going to be my datum line, to make sure that we're keeping this parallel. We want the outside back to be nice and straight. So match the lines up best we can, as I say. Sometimes the weave goes out across the roll. Which is done here. So there's a little bit of a discrepancy on this end, albeit the line is spot on in the centre. There's a discrepancy this end, but that's out of my control. The only way I could do that would be putting the back on loose, and then the customer would have about wrinkles. So again, cardboard back tacking strip. Right. I'm keeping it level with the top of the back rail. And then staple in sort of 1.5. So staple, half a staple gap, staple, half a staple gap, right the way along the top edge. As we can see, we've got a continuation of the line coming over the inside back and down the outside back, as you can see there. Right. So we've got the Lux Bond here. This is the metal claw that we're going to use. It needs to be cut to length. So I'll just do that before I start. It's relatively easy to do. A good squeeze on the pinchers. Cut the sleeve to just protect those raw edges. I'll do that preparation now before I start. So, alright, Bit quiet in here today. The dog's sat in the van. Doesn't want any company today, it seems, which is fine. Quite often get asked, where's the dog? People seem surprised when I tell him he's in the van. It's not that I've put him in the van, he just loves sitting in the van. It's a safe place, kennel, he can sleep, he doesn't get disturbed. He soon pops his head up when he wants to come out, or it's lunchtime. I do check on him. Sometimes I drag him out, whether he likes it or not. Right, so we want to make sure that this line is vertical. So I know when I've put the inside back on, this edge here is the center of the fabric. It's a bit off-putting, but it's how the pattern is on the fabric. You would think that this would be the center line, or something more prominent was the center line, but the center line in this particular fabric is between my two fingers here. So it's the purple and the orange. This line here is actually the center of this particular fabric. So I'm going to mark the bottom of the frame, the center. Right, so pull the fabric down and that over the center. Again, I don't want to pull it too hard, because if I start pulling this fabric hard, I distort the lines in it. So I'm just going to ease it down into a couple of places, using the stripes in the fabric as my guide. Because I've got to do the edges first. Cut off some of the salvage. Salvage will get used for cushion boarding, piping, all sorts of things along those lines. Right, so how this strip works is it folds back on itself. In fact, that's a little bit long, so I'm just going to alter that. Better to do it now than try to do it when it's on. A little bit long. Easily altered. If any of you ever seen police chase videos where they use something called a stinger to penetrate the tyres on the vehicle to slow it down, this is what this stuff reminds me of. Right, sorry about that, my phone cut off, then the battery died. So that's the outside back on now. Hope you got to see the idea with this back tacking. So that's the outside back on. I need to flip the chair around and get the facings done and then pin them into position. Originally the facings had nails in them. I'll show you now, these massive nails. We're going to cut them out and we're going to pin straight through this fabric, because this fabric allows us to pin straight through with an air gun rather than these staples. As you can see, they're very bent, so they don't always go in square. There you go. So we're going to cover these in the fabric, then we're going to pin them onto the front and then the bottom on the job, legs on it, and that particular chair's done whilst we're waiting for the cushion covers to come back. I need to get on with the other chair and the sofa, but they're in a different fabric. I will show you them when they're done as a set. Okay, so hopefully not too long and we'll be back to you. Right, so that's the facings covered. I just need to attach them to the chair. And this chair's done then via the bottom cloth. You don't need to see me do that, so let's get this pinned on. I'm just going to use this staple gun here, which uses these wire nails, fine wire nails. These will fire straight through the fabric, through the timber, and hold the facings on without leaving a dirty great hole in the fabric. So let's get this done. Placing the facing on, using the bottom as the facing as the guide for placement. I'm just going to fold this fabric back, put a couple in the bottom edge there, and whilst pressing down, I'm going to put a pin in the sides of the facings, not directly in the front of the facings. That's just asking for trouble. If you do that, there's going to be potential there to spot it. Just do the same on the other one. Again, folding fabric back. There's some fabric that I've got to trim off of the old cover. Trim that off, excuse the compressor going off. So the timber facing level at the bottom. Again. Go. That's not coming off without a lot of prizing, so that's fine. Finish the bottom of the facings off now. Simply pulling the fabric over to the underside. And that's the facings done. So, like I said previously, need to get on with the other chair, which is in a different fabric, and the sofa that's also in the same fabric as the other chair, to make up the three-piece suite. There is a stool that is being done in this check fabric as well. So I'll crack on with those, and hopefully we can show you the finished suite if we get time before it needs to be delivered. But I'm waiting for the cushions to covers to come back from the machinist, so that's not going to be for a little while. But there you go. So let's get on with the next job, which is the chair and the sofa. So I'm sorry I've not shown you the full upholstery on this red and checked three-piece suite. I've just got on with it and got it done, but you have seen me do the check chair, and I will post a couple of pictures on this clip just after this of the finished sofa and chair. I just thought this might be of interest to you though. This is the stool that came with the suite and how it came into us. I'll spin the camera around and explain a bit better. So this is how it came in to us. This is part of the three-piece suite that the customer had. As you can see, it's just a loose cover, and it's not even a very well executed loose cover, having said that. So I wasn't asked to do anything other than a loose cover by the customer, but I couldn't recreate that. I just wouldn't have been happy with it. So we'll reupholster that with a loose fixed cushion. That might not make sense now, but it will do in a minute. Right, so there you have it. There you go. Here's say more. It looks a lot better, and not just because of the change of the boring gold fabric, but it now has it looks more like it's a loose cushion on top of the ottoman. It is actually fixed. I'm not going to pick it up by the cushion because it'll lift the entire base, but this cushion is actually fixed to this base now. But you've got the separation here between the two items, so it looks a lot better than it did. So that's the last part of this three-piece suite. So it just get bagged up now and ready to go back to the customer later next week. I'm sure they'll be very happy with it. I'm pleased with it, and that's always a good sign. So you go, I've just spotted a loose cotton there. Just pick that off. Right, so that's ready to go back. The spindle back Urkel chairs, I'm just waiting on the webbing for them. Unfortunately, I was expecting it in today, but it hasn't arrived. So that sort of scuppered my plans on getting finished everything today, but there you go. So that's it. That's another suite ready to go back to the customer. And we'll see what we've got to crack on with next. I think it's a repair to a electric reclining chair, and we've got a sofa where the leg has come away on the corner. We have done that other sofa previously, and they were very happy with that. Now the second sofa unfortunately has done the same as the first, so we're going to rectify a repair for that, and you can join us for that. As always, these videos are entertainment, just show you what's going on in our workshop here at Hammond's Upholstery. They're not meant to be instructional or a guide, but if you pick up some pointers along the way and you're a little bit better educated, that's a plus. So as always, please give us a like and subscribe. I hope you enjoyed this, and we'll see you in the next one.